Exposure by Wilfred Owen, 1893 to 1918. Our brains ache in the merciless iced east winds that knive us. Wearied, we keep awake because the night is silent. Low, drooping flares confuse our memories of the salient. Worried by silent sentries whisper, curious, nervous, but nothing happens. Watching, we hear the mad gusts tugging on the wire, like twitching agonies of men among its brambles. Northward, incessantly, the flickering gunnery rumbles, far off, like a dull rumour of some other war. What are we doing here? The poignant misery of dawn begins to grow. We only know war lasts, rain soaks and clouds sag stormy. Dawn, massing in the east her melancholy army, attacks once more in ranks on shivering ranks of grey. But nothing happens. Suddenly, successive flights of bullets streak the silence, less deadly than the air that shudders black with snow, with sidelong flowing flakes that flock, pause and renew. We watch them wandering up and down the wind's nonchalance, but nothing happens. Pale flakes with fingering stealth come feeling for our faces. We cringe in holes black on forgotten dreams and stare, snow-dazed, deep into grassier ditches. So we drowse, sun-dozed, littered with blossoms trickling where the blackbird fuses. Is it that we are dying? Slowly our ghosts drag home, glimpsing the sunk fires glozed, with crusted dark red jewels. Crickets jingle there. For hours the innocent mice rejoice, the house is theirs. Shutters and doors all closed. On us the doors are closed. We turn back to our dying. Since we believe not otherwise can kind fires burn, nor ever sun smile true on child or field or fruit. For God's invincible spring of our love is made afraid. Therefore not loath, we lie out here. Therefore we were born. For love of God seems dying. Tonight his frost will fasten on this mud and us, shrivelling many hands, puckering foreheads crisp. The burying party, picks and shovels in the shaking grasp, pause over half-known faces. All their eyes are ice, but nothing happens. Okay, this poem was by Wilfred Owen. He was one of the major war poets from the First World War, and he was killed right at the end. Let's see, the main idea of this poem is, I think it's talking about the fact that the powers that be, the generals, don't care about the conditions that the men have to suffer, and that the cold and the ice and the possibility of dying of exposure of cold is worse or greater than the possibility of being killed by the enemy. And it describes being on guard and watching while it's snowing and it's freezing cold. So our brains ache in the merciless iced east winds that knive us. So there's an icy wind coming from the east, and it's the wind feels like it's stabbing them with a knife. Wearied, we keep awake because the night is silent. We're awake and vigilant because we can't hear anything, and maybe something will happen. Low drooping flares confuse our memories of the salient. So they're flares, they're uh, things that illuminate the battlefield, that fly in the air. And this, their minds are confused because it's just so cold. The salient is the defended part that sticks out, which I imagine they are defending. Worried by silence, sentries whisper, curious, nervous, but nothing happens. So the sentries, the people standing on guard, are worried by the silence. Yeah, they're curious, they're nervous because they can't hear anything. And then, but nothing happens. So war is boring. 99% of the time it's boring, and then it's terrifying. So they get this feeling that they're there fighting this war, but they're not doing anything. And not doing anything, they have to withstand this terrible cold. Watching, we hear the mad gusts tugging on the wire, like twitching agonies of men among its brambles. So we can hear the wind blowing, gusts of wind, big of wind, and there's barbed wire between them and the Germans. And it sounds like men who've been injured, who are on the barbed wire in no man's land. And it sounds, or it reminds them of men dying in no man's land. A bramble is a blackberry bush with thorns, and this is it's a metaphor talking about the barbed wire, or the barbs of the wire. Northward, incessantly, the flickering gunnery rumbles, far off like a dull rumour of some other war. So they can hear guns to the north of them. Yeah, and these guns in the distance sound like information about another war that they're not part of. What are we doing here? So he's wondering, why are we here? What are we doing here? The poignant misery of dawn begins to grow. Okay, so dawn is coming up, and it's an emotional moment. They see the dawn coming, and they're incredibly cold. We only know war lasts, rain soaks, and clouds sag stormy. So war lasts for a long time. Yeah, and this is something that they are very conscious of. It seems they've been here forever. When it rains, they get soaking wet, and there are clouds hanging, dark clouds, storm clouds hanging. Yeah, maybe these dark storm clouds are ominously predicting the future. Dawn, massing in the east her melancholy army, attacks once more in ranks on shivering ranks of grey. So they can see dawn coming up in the east, and it's like dawn is, I think they're an army of grey clouds that are ready to attack them again and again. And this word shivering echoing how cold they are. And there's more storm on the way. But nothing happens. So they're still freezing cold, but nothing changes. Why are they there? Sudden, successive flights of bullets streak the silence. Suddenly, the enemy start firing at them. Less deadly than the air that shudders black with snow. So the bullets are actually less dangerous than the snow and the chance of dying from exposure. With sidelong flowing flakes that flock, pause and renew. So the snow is being blown towards them. It's moving sidelong from one side of the trench to the other. And the snowflakes, they gather together, they stop, and they blow again at them. We watch them wandering up and down the wind's nonchalance. So we watch the snowflakes, which are driven by the wind, which doesn't care. This is normal, but nothing happens. Pale flakes with fingering stealth come feeling our faces. So subtly the white flakes of snow come onto their faces. We cringe in holes. We're hiding in holes, cringing. Don't hit me. Back on forgotten dreams and stare snow days deep into grassier ditches. So we're hiding in holes and thinking about forgotten dreams of the past. And we're stunned, we're dazed by the snow. It's like we're in a dream of unreality. And we're looking into grassy ditches. So we drowse, sun-dozed, littered with blossoms trickling where the blackbird fusses. Okay, so I think this is in their minds. They're imagining dozing in the sun where there are flowers everywhere and there are blackbirds moving about. Is it that we are dying? So are these dreams or these daydreams or this imagining, is this a symbol that they're going to die because they're so cold? They're going to die of exposure. Slowly our ghosts drag home, glimpsing the sunk fires glozed with crusted dark red jewels. So our ghosts, what's left of us? We're like ghosts. Sorry. We pull ourselves home. So it's time for them to rest. And we can see as we're going back to where we sleep or away from the front line, the fires which are glozed, which are glossed. Glozed is an old-fashioned word for glossed, shining with crusted dark red jewels. So these red fires are like shiny red jewels in the distance. Crickets jingle there. So there are crickets, Jiminy Cricket, grasshoppers moving there. For hours the innocent mice rejoice, the house is theirs. So I think maybe there are crickets hiding in this place. And when the men are away, when the cat's away, the mice will play. So where they live there was no one there for the mice. Shutters and doors all closed. Okay, so the places where they live and sleep, yeah, all the doors are closed. On us, the doors are closed. Okay, so the doors of life or the doors of real life are closed to them. We turn back to our dying. We think about the possibility of death. Since we believe not otherwise can kind fires burn. I think they say that they think about their death, because otherwise the world will be, if they don't die, life will be even worse. Nor ever sun smile true on child or field or fruit. So I think this is saying the reasons why they're fighting the war. They're fighting to protect what is right. They're protecting their children, their fields, their crops. For God's invincible spring, our love is made afraid. So I think they're almost afraid to think about this finishing without them dying. Therefore, not loath we lie out here. So we're lying outside, yeah, and therefore we're born. For love of God seems dying. So I think he's wondering if maybe God is dead. Yeah, God couldn't let people go through this. They couldn't let this situation happen. Tonight his frost will fasten on this mud and us. Okay, so tonight there will be frost. It will freeze, shriveling many hands. Okay, so I think people are going to be frozen to death because they're outside. Puckering foreheads, wrinkling foreheads crisp. Yeah, this is the skin frozen. The burying party, the people that bury the dead, picks and shovels in the shaking grasp, pause over half-known faces. So there's a burial party going through the men, seeing who's dead and who's alive. And the dead, all their eyes are ice, but nothing happens. So this is a scene of misery indeed, the horrors of war. So enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye for now. Exposure by Wilfred Owen.